My GF mocked. You play by the rules, and that's why you'll always just be average when I called out her shoplifting addiction. So I played by the rules, and she played herself into a mugshot. Hey Reddit, ever dated someone who swore they had a skill nobody else could match? Only to find out that skill was basically just shoplifting with extra steps? I kept my mouth shut, gathered proof, and waited for the right moment. Let's just say, when it finally came, she had no idea I was the one pulling the strings. I, Thomas, 25 male, had been with Violet, 24 female, for 4 months, which was already longer than I probably should have stayed. At first, she came across as the type who had her life completely together, worked in sales, sharp dresser, carried herself like she was walking into a board meeting no matter where she went. She made decent money, manicures every week, hairstyled like she had a personal glam squad on standby. Even a quick run to Target looked like she was prepping for a photo shoot. She had that classy career woman image locked down so well that strangers probably assumed she was running some empire. And honestly, for the first 8 weeks, I bought into it. We'd go out, she'd pay her share without making it weird, talk about her clients, complain about quarterly targets, nothing that screamed problem. If you'd told me then that she had a hobby that could land her in court, I would have laughed it off. Then, one night, about 2 months in, we're out to dinner, and she dropped something in casual conversation that made me stop mid-bite. She mentioned she'd returned a dress she wore to a wedding the week before. I thought she meant it didn't fit right, or she changed her mind. I said something like, "Nice. Lucky they took it back." She grinned like she was letting me in on a secret. No, I wore it, kept the tags hidden, and took it back today for a full refund. She said it like she'd just told me where to find buried treasure. I kind of stared at her for a second. "You've done that before?" That's when she really opened up. Not guilty, not embarrassed, just proud. She started explaining her system in detail. How she swaps price tags in high-end stores. How she brings bags from other shops so it looks like she already bought the items. How she keeps a folder on her phone of old receipts she can tweak for quick returns. She told me about borrowing a $500 handbag for a weekend work event and returning it with the tags still dangling. She bragged about a $600 jacket she'd basically gotten for free by swapping it with a cheaper item in the fitting room. I said, "You do know there are cameras in those stores, right? And that loss prevention isn't just there to say hello?" She laughed right in my face. "Babe, I've been doing this for years. These stores make billions. They don't care about little things. Little things. Like hundreds of dollars in merchandise." That's when it hit me. This wasn't about money. She could afford most of what she took. She just liked the rush, the attention, and the Instagram photos with captions like self-care day when the self-care came from a purse she'd walked out of a store with. I asked her, "What's the end game here? You gonna be 50 still swapping tags?" She rolled her eyes. "You don't get it. This is a skill. Not everyone can do it without getting caught." She said it like she was applying for the Olympics. From that night forward, I started noticing the little digs. Anytime I bought something full price, she'd smirk and say, "Wow, you're just throwing money away." She'd tell her friends about her scores at dinner, loud enough for other tables to hear. Not subtle, not whispered, like she was expecting applause. The way she talked about it, you'd think she had diplomatic immunity. If she ever got caught, she'd just explain it was an accident. Because, walking out with a handbag you didn't pay for is just one big misunderstanding. That's when it clicked. She wasn't just entitled, she was delusional. She honestly believed rules didn't apply to her, that she was too clever, too charming, too whatever to face consequences. From that point, I stopped seeing it as a harmless quirk and started keeping mental notes. Every brag, every scam, every time she called me paranoid or boring for paying for my own stuff. She thought I was the cautious, play-by-the-book guy in her life. What she didn't realize was that I was just waiting. Because people like her, they always get caught. And when that day came, I wasn't going to lift a finger to save her. And trust me, I didn't have to wait long. 2. After that first confession about her little tricks, I kept thinking maybe she was exaggerating, like she just wanted to seem edgy. But no. 2 weeks later, it was obvious this wasn't a one-off thing. The first time I saw her in action was a couple weeks later. We were walking through a department store, and she spotted a watch she liked. 5 minutes later, we're back in the car, and she's wearing the watch under her sleeve with the box tucked in her tote bag. I hadn't even seen her do it. If we get pulled over and they find that, I'm not taking the blame, right? I told her. She just smirked. Relax. You worry too much. I'm a pro. Yeah. Because every pro gets cocky right before they crash and burn. Her days off weren't for relaxing or catching up on laundry. They were for what she called working the system. which meant store hopping, tag swapping, and fake returns like it was a competitive sport. One Saturday morning, I'm sitting at her kitchen counter drinking coffee, and she's got this layout like she's planning a military operation. Old receipts lined up, a pile of shopping bags from different stores, and a list on her phone of targets for the day. I've got this Nordstrom bag from last month, plus a receipt for a $380 sweater they still carry. I grab it, return it at another location for store credit, and boom, free money, she says like she's announcing the weather. I set my mug down. You know that's theft, right? Not some loophole. Theft. And you keep doing this. It's not going to end well. She just smirked. Babe, you're overthinking. I've been doing this for years. These stores make billions. They don't care about little stuff. I shook my head. They care when they pull camera footage. And when they do, I'm not going to be the one holding your hand through court. So you must stop this now. That actually got her attention for about 30 seconds. Okay. I won't do it again, she said, tossing her hair like we were moving on from some silly misunderstanding. For a brief moment, I thought maybe I'd gotten through to her. She even started paying for a couple things when we went out, like she was proving her point. Then, 3 days later, I get a text from my buddy Mike, who works part-time at Best Buy. Dude, did I just see your girlfriend trying to return an open box tablet with no charger? I called him right away. What do you mean trying to return it? He laughs. She's standing here saying it's brand new and she lost the charger, but the serial number shows it was sold 3 months ago and returned once already. I didn't even bother calling her. That night, when she came over acting like nothing happened, I waited until she put her purse down. So, return ban at Best Buy coming soon or what? Her eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? You told me you wouldn't do it again. Then you're out here running the same scams days later. You really think no one's going to notice? She rolled her eyes like I was the one being ridiculous. You just don't understand the hustle. I told you. I know what I'm doing. No, you know how to shoplift with extra steps, I shot back. That hit a nerve, but instead of backing down, she doubled down. That was the moment I knew 2 things. 1. She wasn't stopping. 2. The next time she got burned, I wouldn't just sit back. I'd make sure it stuck. I'd been patient. I'd kept my mouth shut more times than I wanted to waiting for her to change, which is stupid. I know you have the right to cook me. But one night, watching her sit there sorting stolen merch on the couch like she was running an illegal boutique, I realized I was done playing along. Violet, I said, if you keep this up, I'm breaking up with you. She didn't even look up from the sweater she was folding. Whatever. I'll find someone who appreciates the hustle. I laughed. Not the fake kind. The kind you do when someone says something so ridiculous you can't even fake being mad. Appreciates the hustle? You mean appreciates felony charges? She finally looked at me, smirking like she was talking to a kid who didn't understand the rules. You just don't get it. You play by the rules, and that's why you'll always just be average and boring. You think life is just about punching a clock and paying full price for everything. That's why you'll never get ahead. Average. Boring. Cute. I just said, okay. And that was it. No fight, no chasing her around the apartment trying to prove I wasn't average. Because what she didn't know, what she would never see coming, was that I'd been collecting receipts on her for a long while. Screenshots of her texts explaining scams in detail. Photos she posted online flexing merchandise she'd returned already. And, my favorite, actual security cam footage from a store manager I knew from college who owed me a favor. The kind of stuff you can't talk your way out of when someone's wearing the same jacket in the footage that's sitting in their closet. I wasn't in a rush. I knew she'd hand me the perfect setup on her own. And sure enough, a week later, she did. Her company announced their big quarterly celebration dinner, some high-end venue with all the big-name clients. Violet was hyped. This was her networking moment. She spent the whole week planning her outfit like she was getting ready for an award show. New dress, new shoes, and of course she needed a statement bag. Only problem? The bag she wanted cost $2,000. So, naturally, she had a plan. I'm going to borrow it from Nordstrom, she said. Making air quotes like that made it less illegal. Wear it to the dinner, then take it back the next night with a fake receipt I'll print tonight. Easy. You're seriously doing that? I asked. She rolled her eyes. Oh, here we go. Don't start with the "you're gonna get caught" thing. I've done this 100 times. You wouldn't understand. This is career image. In my world, if you don't look the part, you lose opportunities. I couldn't help myself. In my world, if you commit retail fraud, you get arrested. She crossed her arms like I'd just insulted her entire family. See? This is why you're average. You live small. I play big. I nodded slowly. Okay, play big. And that was that. She thought she'd won the argument. In reality, she'd just walked herself into the perfect checkmate. That night, I'd finished my coffee, opened my laptop, and pulled up the folder marked V Evidence. All those months of keeping my mouth shut were about to pay off. Screenshots of texts where she bragged about flipping stolen items, photos from her own social media, showing off merchandise that, according to her, had already been returned. My favorite? The crisp, high-def footage I asked from the store manager I knew, showing her swapping tags and walking out like she was on a catwalk. I typed out the email like I was clocking in for work. To whom it may concern, the woman in these photos is named Violet. She has a documented pattern of fraudulent returns and shoplifting from your stores. She has stated her intent to return a high-value designer handbag using falsified documentation. Attached are relevant examples from the past several months. Attached everything, triple-checked it, then hit send. After that, I just went about my day. Ate dinner, watched a game, went to bed. Slept better than I had in months. That night, she got ready for her big career image moment. The dinner. Dress, heels, and that brand new $2,000 bag swinging from her arm. She gave me this smirk on her way out the door like she'd already won. "Try not to be jealous when you see the pictures," she said. "Don't worry," I told her. "I'll see the footage." She didn't get it. Perfect. The dinner came and went without incident, at least for her. But the very next night, my phone buzzed. Not a call from her, from my friend at the store. "She's here. They've got her in the office." I didn't rush. I finished what I was doing, grabbed my keys, and drove over. When I walked in, the place was quiet. My friend met me by the entrance, smirking. "She's in the back with loss prevention. Security already called the cops." He led me toward the hallway outside the loss prevention office. Through the open doorway, I could see her sitting in a plastic chair, arms crossed, doing that fake "I'm calm" thing she always did when she was actually about to explode. The bag sat on the desk in front of her, while two store employees flipped through paperwork, pointing at her fake receipt like they'd just found treasure. She spotted me in the doorway and immediately lit up. "Oh my God. Thank you for coming. You need to tell them—" I held up a hand. "Do you know who reported you?" She froze. "What? Do you know," I repeated, "who tipped them off about this little return stunt?" Her eyes darted between me and the employees. "No, but I was probably some jealous person." I leaned on the desk, looked her dead in the eye. The average guy standing in front of you. The silence in that room was beautiful. You could almost hear her ego deflating. "You—" she started, but I cut her off. "Yeah, me. I warned you." You laughed. "I told you I'd walk if you kept it up. You said you'd find someone who appreciated the hustle." I gestured around. "How's the appreciation going so far?" Her face twisted. "You're supposed to be my boyfriend." "Wrong. I was your boyfriend before you decided petty theft was a personality trait. Now I'm just the guy who saved a store $2,000 and a headache." "You're pathetic," she spat. "Funny," I said. "I'm not the one getting booked for felony retail theft." The two store employees were trying not to laugh. One of them stood up and said, "Sir, the police will be here in about 5 minutes." Violet turned back to me, trying to regain control. "You're going to bail me out, right?" I straightened up. "Nope. What do you mean, no?" "I mean, you're a grown woman. And according to you, you're a pro at this. So go ahead. Hustle your way out of jail." Her voice went high and sharp. "You're ruining my life." I shrugged. "Nah. I just forwarded the highlights to the right audience. You ruined your life one fake receipt at a time." One of the loss prevention guys chuckled. He's not wrong. When the cops arrived, she tried to talk over them, throwing every excuse she could think of. It was a misunderstanding. I had the wrong receipt. They're targeting me. The officers didn't care. They cuffed her, read her charges, felony retail theft, and let her out. She looked back at me over her shoulder, pure venom in her eyes. "You'll regret this." I smirked. "Already feel great about it." They put her in the back of the cruiser and drove off. By the next morning, her mugshot was up on the police department's Facebook page. The same woman who used to brag about networking now had her photo next to a caption listing her charges. The comment section was savage. Guess she forgot her coupon. Karma's got a new handbag. People from her company saw it almost immediately. I know because someone sent me a screenshot of their office group chat. "Isn't this Violet from sales?" By lunch, she was on administrative leave pending investigation. By the next day, her profile was gone from the company website. That night, she got out on bail. Courtesy of her mom, not me. There weren't any no-contact restrictions yet, which is why she could show up at my place. That kind of condition usually only kicks in if the victim asks for it, or if the judge sees a reason. And so far, this was just a retail theft case. 30 minutes later, she was outside my place, pounding on the door. I opened it just enough to lean against the frame. "You absolute traitor," she hissed. I tilted my head. Traitor. Number traitors betray good people. I just exposed a thief. You could have helped me. I could have, I said. But remember, you didn't want my boring rules. You wanted freedom. And this, I waved vaguely in the direction of the county jail. This is what freedom looks like when you're done with it. She pointed a finger at me like she was making a closing argument. You've destroyed everything I worked for. Sweetheart, I said, deadpan. You didn't work for anything. You lifted it off a rack. Her jaw clenched so hard I thought she might break a tooth. This isn't over. It is for me, I replied, and shut the door in her face. That was the night I realized something important. She didn't just think she was above the law. She thought she was above consequences entirely. And I just proved her wrong in the most public, humiliating way possible. And the best part? Her little crash and burn was just getting started. After I shut the door in her face that night, I figured I'd have at least a few days before I heard from her again. Wrong. The next morning, I woke up to 14 texts from her, sent between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. They ranged from, "You're a horrible human being," to "I'm suing you for defamation," to my personal favorite, "You'll be sorry when I clear my name." The clear my name part made me laugh. There's no clearing your name when the evidence is you on video handing over a fake receipt while wearing the same dress you posted on Instagram the night before. By mid-morning, the arrest had made its way around every local gossip page. People were posting side-by-side photos of her work, headshot, and her mugshot with captions like, "Before the return, after the return." One even made it a meme. "Buy one, steal one free." Her mom, Carol, called me again, this time with the "Be the Bigger Person" lecture. "Thomas, she's going through the hardest time of her life. You should be supporting her." "Carol," I said, "the hardest time of her life is the result of the easiest decisions she ever made. She wanted to steal. She stole. That's not exactly fate coming for her. That's cause and effect." "You sound smug," she snapped. "I am smug," I told her. I told her it would end like this. She called me average. Now she's got a felony charge. Feels above average to me. She hung up. 2 days later, I got proof that Violet wasn't just spiraling. She'd gone full kamikaze mode. I came home from running errands to find 2 long, jagged scratches carved into both sides of my car. On the driver's side, someone had actually keyed the word "loser" in all caps. I didn't even need to check the cameras to know who it was, but I did anyway. And there she was, at 2:17 a.m., hood up, head down, dragging her keys along my car door like she was signing her autograph. She even looked right at the camera once, like she knew I'd see it. Perfect. I downloaded the footage, called the police, and filed a vandalism report. The officer who came over watched the clip and shook his head. "We've got her out on bail for theft. And now she's doing this? She's just digging her own hole." "Yeah," I said, "and I'm happy to keep handing her the shovel." She got picked up for vandalism that afternoon. When they called to tell me they'd arrested her again, I didn't even pretend to be surprised. Yup, that's her. Because she was already out on bail for the retail theft, this was a violation of her conditions. They tacked that onto her charges and kept her longer this time. This time, the judge added a no-contact order for me as part of her bail conditions. That meant she couldn't legally come near me until her case was over. Not that I expected her to actually follow it. I didn't see her until the weekend, when she came by to collect the rest of her stuff. This time with a police escort. She looked nothing like the glossy, curated Violet from social media. Baggy sweatpants, hair tied back in a knot, no makeup, eyes darting around like she was looking for a way to spin this. "Happy now?" she muttered, while shoving her shoes into a box. I leaned against the wall, ecstatic. "You're obsessed with ruining me," she said. "No," I replied. "I'm fascinated by how fast you're doing it yourself." One of the officers smirked at that, and she shot him a glare. She grabbed her last box, marched to the door, and turned back one last time. "I loved you, you know." "Yeah," I said, "but you loved stolen handbags more." She left without another word. If I thought that would be the end of it, I underestimated her talent for self-sabotage. The following night, she took her meltdown online. First, a Facebook post. "To everyone judging me for one mistake, remember that there are 2 sides to every story. My ex-boyfriend is a controlling manipulator who has been emotionally abusive for years." She followed it up with a laundry list of nonsense about how I isolated her and sabotaged her success because he was jealous. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. The same people reading her post had also seen the police reports and mugshots. One guy commented, "So, he made you steal the bag?" The comment got 74 likes before she deleted the whole thread. The real blow came from her own circle. Kendra, one of her closest friends and fellow hustlers, messaged me out of the blue. "I'm done covering for her," she wrote. "She's been doing this for years, bragging about it, laughing at people she scams. She even tried to hit me up for $5,000 for a better lawyer. And when I said no, she called me broke." Kendra attached screenshots of texts from Violet, straight up admitting to scams, mocking store clerks, and bragging about getting away with murder. One of them was from the night she keyed my car. "Made sure he'll see it every time he walks outside. Enjoy, loser." I forwarded the whole package to the DA's office handling her theft and vandalism cases. A week later, they subpoenaed Kendra to testify. By now, Violet's online presence was crumbling. Her Instagram, once a wall of luxury lifestyle shots, turned into a mix of vague inspirational quotes and passive-aggressive rants about fake friends and haters. She even started a GoFundMe titled Legal Defense Fund, Wrongfully Accused, which raised a grand total of $62 before people started commenting with links to her arrest record. She shut it down within 48 hours. Her job, meanwhile, made her suspension permanent. They cited public misconduct and breach of professional ethics. Translation: they didn't want their reps showing up in client offices with felony charges and viral mugshots. The day she got the official termination letter, she showed up at my place again, this time without the police. I opened the door but didn't move to let her in. "This is all your fault," she said, eyes red but still holding that same entitled posture. "Correction," I said. "This is all your fault. My part ended when I sent one email. The rest was pure Violet. You took everything from me. You gave it away. I just made sure there was a crowd watching." She clenched her fists. "You think this is funny? I think it's poetic. You spent years scamming stores, and now you can't even return your own life for a refund." She stormed off, muttering something about revenge. I let her go without another word. Within days, I found out she'd been hit with even more charges, this time for violating bail conditions and tampering with a witness. Apparently, she'd texted Kendra threatening her if she testified. The DA now had a whole new stack of evidence to work with. I didn't even need to be involved at this point. She was running her own demolition crew, tearing down whatever scraps of her reputation were left. It's funny, she used to talk about the hustle, like it was a noble thing, a way to get ahead. But hustlers adapt. Hustlers know when to quit while they're ahead. Violet wasn't a hustler. She was just a thief with an ego, convinced she could beat a system designed to catch people exactly like her. And the thing about systems? They don't get tired. They don't forget. And they never stop watching once they've got you in their sights. By the time her preliminary hearings rolled around, she wasn't strutting into rooms anymore. She was shuffling in, hair pulled back, clothes hanging off her like she'd aged 10 years in 2 months. The same girl who once called me average now looked like she was fighting to stay above rock bottom. And me? I was just the average guy who happened to be standing in front of her the moment she fell. I sat in the back row. Not because I had to be there for the retail theft case. My part was already handled. But because I wanted to see her try to explain herself under oath. The prosecution didn't have to work hard. They rolled the footage from the night she tried the bag scam. Crystal clear video of her placing the bag on the counter, handing over the fake receipt, and then acting outraged when the clerk refused. Then they followed it up with evidence from the other incidents I'd sent in. Every clip, every screenshot, every text where she bragged about her scores. She sat there stone-faced, like she could stare the charges into disappearing. Her lawyer tried the misunderstanding angle, saying she'd mixed up receipts and was embarrassed. The judge didn't even blink. True to her word, Kendra showed up in court and took the stand. And if Violet thought she was going to get loyalty, she was wrong. Kendra laid it all out. The scams, the bragging, the keying of my car, the threats when Kendra refused to loan her money. She even had messages where Violet laughed about making suckers pay for my lifestyle. Violet's composure cracked for the first time. She glared at Kendra like she could burn her alive with a look. The prosecutor closed with one line that stuck. This wasn't an accident. This was a pattern, carried out with intent and fueled by arrogance. The jury didn't even deliberate long. Guilty on all counts for felony retail theft and vandalism. The witness tampering charge didn't go to the jury. The judge kept that one and rolled it into her probation conditions, basically locking her out of contacting Kendra for the next 2 years. The bail violation was handled separately by the judge, who agreed she'd broken the terms and factored it into her sentence. 2 weeks later was sentencing. I was required to be there for the vandalism charge since I was the victim. She walked in looking smaller somehow, but the attitude wasn't gone. When she passed by me, she muttered, "Hope you're proud." I kept my voice low so only she could hear. Extremely. When the judge started, it was all business. He recapped her history, the charges, the fact that she'd been out on bail for one crime when she committed another. He also brought up her online behavior, the posts, the GoFundMe, the witness tampering attempt. Then he dropped the sentence: 30 days in county jail for the theft, 60 days for the vandalism, to be served consecutively, 2 years probation after release, $8,000 restitution split between the store and me, 200 hours of community service, mandatory theft prevention counseling. The judge said it was her first conviction on paper, which was the only reason she wasn't getting state time. She also got slapped with a no-contact order for me and Kendra. This time, that meant she couldn't legally come near me until her case was over. Not that I expected her to actually follow it. Plus a ban from every store in that retail chain for the next 2 years. Not that she had anywhere left she wanted to be seen. She tried to interrupt, saying the sentence was excessive. The judge shut her down instantly. Mrs. Sinclair, your actions show a clear disregard for the law. You are fortunate you're not facing more time. I had to bite back a grin. Afterward, her mom cornered me in the hallway. You could have spoken on her behalf, asked for leniency. "Yar, Carol," I said. She keyed my car, tried to ruin my reputation, and stole thousands from a store. Why would I ask for leniency? She's my daughter. She's also a criminal. And last I checked, the judge doesn't give reduced sentences for family bias. Carol huffed and walked off, muttering something about me being cold. A week later, I got the first restitution payment. She'd clearly been forced to sell some of her precious designer junk to cover it. I recognized a few of the items from her old Instagram posts. The same heels she once bragged she got for free were now literally paying for the damage she did to my car. I took the check to the bank and couldn't help but think about how poetic that was. The jail time itself didn't take long, but it was enough to knock some shine off her image. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that she hated every second of it. The food, the uniforms, the lack of privacy. She apparently complained that jail is for lowlifes, conveniently ignoring that she was in there because of her own choices. By the time she got out, she had no job, no friends willing to be seen with her, and a reputation so trashed she might as well have been on a public offender registry for shoplifters. She tried to apply to a few retail jobs, hilarious considering her history, but word travels fast in our city. Nobody was willing to take the risk. A couple of weeks after her release, she showed up at my door again. I opened it, leaning casually against the frame. "What now? Aren't you on a no-contact order?" I asked. She looked at me with this mixture of anger and desperation. "You win, okay? You completely destroyed me. Are you happy?" "I didn't destroy you," I said. "You handed me the sledgehammer and pointed at your own life. You could have let it go," she said, voice trembling. "And you could have stopped stealing. But you didn't. Now here we are." She tried to hold my gaze like she could guilt me into feeling something. I didn't. "You told me I was average," I said. "Turns out average guys can be dangerous when they've got the truth on their side." She looked away first. "I hope you rot." "Too late," I said with a smirk. "I'm already thriving." She left without another word. That was the last time I saw her in person. I heard through the grapevine she eventually got her probation transferred and moved 2 states over to stay with some extended family, probably hoping people would forget. But the internet doesn't forget, and her name is still one search away from her mugshot and court records. Every now and then, someone sends me a screenshot of her profile when it pops up. The luxury shots are gone. Now it's just filtered selfies and vague captions about starting over. Here's the thing. She could have avoided all of it. Every single part of this was preventable. But she believed she was untouchable, that her hustle made her smarter than the rest of us. She confused arrogance for intelligence, and she learned the hard way that those two things are not the same. For me, it was a clean break. No lingering what-ifs, no regrets. I warned her, she mocked me, I acted, and she paid the price. And honestly, that's the most satisfying part. Not that she got caught. That was inevitable. But that I got to be the one standing there when the curtain finally dropped. Violet never came back after that last doorstep conversation. She packed up what was left of her life and moved out of state. Didn't matter. Her name was still one search away from her mugshot, court records, and news articles. The internet isn't a place you can outrun. From what I heard, she tried picking up a few jobs but couldn't pass background checks. Retail was off the table completely. Even office jobs wanted nothing to do with someone convicted of theft and vandalism. Her old friends? Gone. Most of them were just as shallow as she was, and didn't want to be seen with her now that she wasn't the glamorous one in the group. Kendra cut her off for good. The restitution checks still come in. She's paying me back in slow installments, which is fitting. Every month, I cash a piece of her pride. As for me, I'm doing fine. Got a promotion at work, replaced the car she keyed, and upgraded my apartment. My social life got quieter, which is exactly how I like it. No more chaos, no more fake hustle talk, no more dealing with someone who thinks theft is ambition. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. When someone shows you who they are, stop arguing. Believe them. Then decide if you want to stand next to them when their luck runs out. She called me average. The average guy reported her, testified against her, and watched her whole untouchable act collapse. Turns out average can be lethal when you've got patience, proof, and a front row seat to the fall.